ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वर्स् 271 तत्त्वबोधं क्षयं व्याधिं मन्यन्ते ये महाधियः तेषां प्रज्ञातिविशदा किं तेषां दुःशकं वद. The teacher, Vidyaranya, is answering the question of a student that how come this knowledge basically, even after the knowledge, why it does not give me the result? The liberation moksha is still not there, even though I have gained the knowledge. Then Vidyaranya answer, well, it's because you basically don't use the word I carefully. So when one is vague about this I, then there is a problem. And then what is the problem? What is the problem in the word I? How can you say I am using very loosely? So then Vidyaranya answered that, this is all we have to think that way. This is the way it has been answered. So he said there are two components in this. And one is ahankara, other is a sakshi. And they are physically inseparable. Sakshi is the consciousness, and this ahankara is basically a medium. All the three bodies. But in that we can take two bodies, subtle body and gross body, in which this sakshi or the consciousness manifests. And so definitely the very existence of a ahankara, very existence of the bodies, is possible due to this sakshi, and therefore it is mithya. So they are always together. What is mithya is always non-separate from the satyam, and ahankara can't say. So the I has both the components. Are you aware of that? Acharya is asking to student. He says no. That's what I am saying you, that you are using word I very loosely. It has two components, in which one is mithya, other is satyam, but you are not aware of. And therefore, how can you say, but there are two? Because ahankara cannot say independently I. Because to say even I, definitely requires a consciousness. And so, definitely, so sakshi is always there together. And sakshi also cannot say I, because sakshi is devoid of the very ahankara. Sakshi is devoid of the medium bodies, and therefore sakshi cannot say I. Ahankara cannot say I without consciousness, and therefore I has both the components. If it is ahankara can say independently I, then definitely it is independent of the sakshi. Sakshi cannot say I and still sakshi says I, means that for another component must be there. And so this is how it's a mixture alone does all kinds of transaction. And therefore, ahankaramsha is mithyamsha, sakshi is a satyamsha. And Jnani is aware of. Jnani does not use word I loosely. Even though I will be there all the time using, but he is aware. So when he is doing some transactions, well, he will definitely keep Sakshi in dark. I mean, dark means he knows that this at the level of ahankara, this all vyavahara takes place. And so we a seer, goer, teacher, eater, walker, anything, talker. So, and he at that level also uses word I, but he is aware that this is at the ahankara level, which is mithya, etc. It's a transactional, etc. And he says, I am Brahman, means, he understands very well that he is Sakshi. And therefore, I has both the components, depending upon, either for Vyavahara or for his own introduction to himself. He may not say to others, but he knows that he is Brahman, Sakshi. And so both the places we can take even in that this is a Bhagatyaga Lakshana, etc. And therefore, Ahankara will be, it's ultimately a product of a guna, Maya only. So Ahankara will be always with the gunas. Ahankara will be constantly changing. Maya is Savikari. Ahankara is Savikari. Maya is Trigunatmika, Ahankara is Trigunatmika. Trigunatmikaha, etc. And Sakshi is Nirgunam, etc. Nirvikara. And therefore, whatever gunas karya takes place at the level of ahankara or at the level of mind, Jnani remains indifferent to that. That is udasina. That's what Bhagavan said. Prakashancha pravuttincha mohamevacha pandava, etc. Nadveshti sampravuttani na nivrittani kankshati. So he does not want to get rid of, he does not want to withdraw from certain karya of gunas, like tamoguna, etc. He does not want to withdraw from that. And he does not have a expectancy that this particular gunas karya, sattva gunas karya should be there in the mind. Because ultimately it is ahankara mithya. And therefore it's just an appearance of the sakshi. Atma, basically. Everything is appearance of sakshi. That is mithya. And therefore, basically, so he doesn't bother. He remains indifferent to all this at the level of ahankara, indifferent to all the karyas of the guna, etc. And even if he interferes in that, the guna will still, he may bring one guna, let us say, a predominant, one guna, sattva guna predominant. Again, it may become rajo guna, tamo guna will become. No, but Swamiji, he will always be sattvic. He will not have sleep then. So gunas will do that job. And ahankara is in the hands of prarabdha actually. And therefore, these three gunas will do their job. So bodies are also there, and therefore this mind also will definitely work accordingly. So he is indifferent. Whatever is happening at the level of anatma or ahankara, at the level of a mind, conscious mind, that's ahankara. That is is indifferent. That is, for that Vidyaranya quoted this verse, right? So this 14th chapter, 2 verses he quote combined together. In the verse number 269 he said that nadveshti sampravuttani na nivrittani kankshati udasina vadasina iti granthi bheda uchyate. So this is a granthi bheda, etc. And then a student raised a question. We know also, we did that in verse 270, that he told to teacher that you are quoting a wrong shloka actually. It's a granthi bheda means, granthi bheda means, he understands mithya as a mithya, jnani and satyam as a satyam. He says, no. Gita shloka does not talk about such a granthi bheda. Destruction of such a granthi. Atma is taken as an atma and anatma is taken as an atma. Atma is taken as ahankara, etc. So, such a granthi has gone for jnani. So it's called granthi bheda. He says Gita shloka does not talk about that. He is not. It is not a description of a wise person, who is indifferent to all these karyas of the guna at the level of ahankara or a mind. It talks about actually audasinya vidhi. So it's a rule for a sadhaka that sadhaka should be indifferent. For what? So he says, that is what it has been told, na dveshti sampravuttani. So this sadhaka who wants a moksha, who wants to be a wise person, he should not hate and run away to whatever is happening around. Or na nivruttani kankshati. He should not run after to when things are withdrawn from them, from him. So, well, certain things are withdrawn and he wants. And so, well, he runs after. So, this sadhaka should remain indifferent. That's all. That is the vidhi, actually. That's a commandment by Lord. That a person who wants jnanam and moksha, he should be like this. He should not run after the various things which are withdrawn. Again, he wants to grab and so he is running after. No, 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 no. And certain situations have arisen which he doesn't like. And so he runs away from that. No, no, no. He should be indifferent. That's what actually Bhagavad Gita, that verse says. Bhagavan wants this way. So udasina vidhi, audasinyam vidheyam. So this is how indifference has been for a sadhaka seeker has been enjoined. Then iti chet, if that is so, teacher is telling, then what about this vat? What is there? Udasinavat asina. He remains like as though udasina. So what is there? Otherwise udasina only is there, we would have taken it that way. That he remains indifferent. So sadhaka should remain indifferent, we can take. But it is udasina vat. He remains as though indifferent. So it is actually a jnani who remains indifferent, like an indifferent person. Well, such a udasi, person is there who does not care what is externally there, etc. And what has gone, he does not run after it. And what has arisen surrounding to him, well, he does not run away from that also. So like that, this jnani also, whatever is happening in his mind, so due to sattva, rajas and tamo guna, etc., sattva guna, etc., well, arises, it has gone away, the effect of the sattva guna. So he wants it back. And this tamoguna, etc., effect of tamoguna, etc., arises. Well, he wants to get rid of it. Such a thing jnani doesn't do. That's what is called indifference. So Bhagavan is talking about actually like a indifferent person in a vyavara. How does he doesn't bother about what is externally there. He does not basically does not desire something to gain, or he does not desire to get rid of something, etc. Like that, this person automatically, the wise person, whatever is happening at the level of ahankara, well, he doesn't bother because he knows ahankara is constantly changing due to prarabdha. That's in the, so he is in, so far as ahankara is concerned, so far as the individual is concerned, he has totally handed over to the prarabdha, and therefore he remains indifferent. That is what has been told. So, like other indifferent people are there in the society, like that he remains indifferent. Udasinavat asina. So, what the suffix is already there. So, if you say, well, it is a commandment. So, if Krishna actually is prescribing this passiveness, indifference is enjoined for a sadhaka, then definitely, what about this vat? That becomes vyartham. So, basically, that vat shabda, which is, that's added at the end of the word udasina, will be redundant. Vyartham is redundant or futile, and therefore that is not the criteria. And therefore, Bhagavan is not giving any commandment for a sadhaka to remain indifferent. This is a description of a jnani who remains indifferent like other indifferent people in the vyavara. That is what it is conveyed. Then student got agreed. He said, okay, there may not be a commandment, etc. Of a withdrawal, etc. Okay. Because you said what is there, so like or as though. So, fine. But the idea of both the shloka is ultimately this verse, both the verses, verse 22 and 23. Both these verses basically, reveals that jnani has a freedom to be active or not active, etc. Na nivruttani kankshati, na parvuttani, etc., etc. So he has a freedom to be active or not active. But because of the strength of knowledge, student is telling, because of the strength of the knowledge, well, ultimately he will become inactive. Because he is atmarati, he atmatrupta. So he all the time remains with oneself. One has to be So one is a source of a joy. Oneself is a source of a joy. So why should he go away? And therefore he remains with oneself all the time. And when you remain with yourself, definitely asya dehadyaha na shaktaha. Your body mind sense complex will not be active. And therefore, like a person in samadhi also, he is with himself. So nothing is active. So same way automatically, so this Jnani's description Bhagavan has given elsewhere in chapter 2 and chapter 3 reveals that he all the time revels in himself and he is with himself, and therefore he doesn't run and out hinder here and there. So his body mind sense complex basically become inactive. He will be incapable of all actions basically. Vidyaranasya iti chet means if you say like this, Jnani will become a sick person. Jnani will be weakling, right? Because it is like a person who has a disease. His body mind sense complex is not active. So like this Jnani or a yogi will become a rogi. And therefore he becomes a rogi. So this is not a criteria for saying like this. So he said that in the verse 270, iti ched saheva roga. Saheva roga means saheva rogi, basically. So this person will become one whose body mind sense complex is not active for a length of time. He is inviting problems. Definitely. He is inviting diseases. That's going to be. And therefore this person also will become ultimately rogi. Or he is a rogi, like that. And then who will go to learn from him? Atma Jnanam, etc. Who will go? He is already having some disease. And what kind of a disease? You are saying disease, but what kind of a disease? So that is being told now. 271. Tattvabodham kshayam vyadhim manyante ye mahadiyah tesham pragnati vishada kim tesham dushakam vada. Anyway, we read that verse, but once again. Anyway, Vidyaranya and this teases, this student or a Purapakshi who misinterpret this Gita shloka. So he says Mahadiyah. Mahadiyah means highly intelligent. Means he is sarcastically saying, means very full, basically. Brihaspati. So it's a Viparita Lakshana, basically. They call Viparita Lakshana means meaning is opposite. You use a word, but you should not take the meaning. You should take the opposite meaning. So we say, in Vyavahara, they say like that. Oh, look at this person. Oh, he's very intelligent. And then these two people laugh. So basically, to tell same way, this person who misinterprets a Bhagavad Gita verse without understanding the context and everything. The 14th chapter talks about Gunatita only. There is all description about Gunatita. Gunatita means a Jnani. And therefore there he brings this sadhaka, etc. And he swallows the word, he glosses over the word vat also. What is there means as though. So means in society there are indifferent people. So like that he is as though a indifferent person. Anyway, so he says Mahadiya. Vidyaranya says these people who misinterpret, they are Mahadiya, they are Brihaspatis. Well, what they believe, Tattvabodham kshayam vyadhim manyante. So, Jnani becomes actually incapable of activity. That's what they told. So, well, in medical science, they say when your body, mind, sense complex, etc., becomes too weak due to the tuberculosis. Kshayam means tuberculosis. Day by day, the person who gets this tuberculosis, day by day he becomes very, very weak. Ultimately, he cannot even lift himself. He cannot get up. And therefore, this Jnani said he is become incapable of any activity. So it's like a Kshaya Roga. Weakening. This is he has. So Kshaya Rogi becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. Same way, this person, Jnani, also becomes incapable of any activity. Kshaya Rogi also becomes incapable of activity. Same way, Jnani also becomes like that, you said. Asya dehadyaha ashaktaha. He is not active at the level at the physical level, at the, sensory level, etc. At the intellectual level. He just lies down. That's all. Nothing. Because Atmarati. And therefore, Jnani also becomes like that, you said. In that case, we have to equate the Jnanam as a Roga. Tattvabodha, Atmabodha is equated as a Kshaya Roga. And Jnani is the one who has gained that Kshaya Roga, means tuberculosis. We have to say that way. What can we say? So Tattvabodha means self-knowledge. Kshayam Vyadhim Manyante. Mahadiya. So this great people, highly intellectual people like you, believe in, they think that this Atma Jnanam is like a Kshaya Roga. Tesham prajna ati vishadaha. Tesham prajna, their intelligence is extremely bright intelligence they have. So very, very sharp people they are. That's how like that he says. So bright that they can. Why were you saying so? We can ask to Vidyaranya, why you are saying that intellect is so bright? You see, Bhagavad Gita's verse, how they interpret, must be very intelligent people, right? So they have actually misinterpretation, but so they can interpret. They can, that shows that they are so bright that they can interpret any vakya of the shastra as they wish. And so kim dushakam for them. So kim dushakam means difficult. So what is difficult for them? For such a Mahadiya, for highly intellectual people like you, what is difficult for you? Means what interpretation is difficult for you? Like that. What interpretation is difficult for this Mahadiya, for these people? Like that he is sarcastically saying. And Tvam Vada. Now he says, now I am telling like this, that Tattva Bodham Kshayam Vyadhim. And this Jnani is like a person who has a disease. And Atma Jnanam is like a disease called this tuberculosis. Tvam Vada, tell us what do you want to say in this, what I have commented upon. So he says, I want to say something. Student says, he says in 272, Bharatadera pravrittihi puranhokteti chettada jakshan kridan ratim bindan ityashraushirna kim shrutim. So, Purapakshi or student says, don't tease me too much. I know Sanskritam and I have studied Shastra, etc. And when I interpret like this, I have a Shastric support also, student says. What is the Shastric support? So he brings a Puranokta. So he brings a support for description of a Jnani who is very inactive, etc. He says there are examples in a Bhagavatam, and it is Jad Bharat Upakhyanam. So there they have glorified a Jnani in the manner that Jad Bharata has withdrawn totally. So he is telling, I am telling you that Jnani becomes totally inactive. He is totally indifferent. It is from the example is there in the Bhagavatam. So, and this Jad Bharata's description is there in Bhagavatam. He does not take bath, he does not brush teeth, his hair is also knotted, etc. And he lies down all over. He rolls in a mud also. So there will be mud all over in his body, all over his body. And that mud also he does not remove. He doesn't bother about Bhiksha. Of course, he was alive, means he was taking Bhiksha. But he doesn't bother about Bhiksha. So does not dress properly. All this description is there in Bhagavatam. So this is a Vardan of Udasina. That's what a student says. I am saying from some background. I have some support from Purana. And tasya karyam na vidyate. He did not do anything. He just lies in one corner. So Bhagavad Gita gives this kind of an example. And so, of course, Bhagavad Gita says Sharir Yatra Shariram Kevalam Karma Kurvan Napnoti Kilbisham. He says, Bhagavad Gita also says, Shariram Kevalam Karma. Shariram Karma means just so that the body gets sustained. For that he does some karma, maybe Bhiksha, etc. So Jnani is a Udasina, really speaking. I have a support of a Bhagavatam, etc. And Bhagavad Gita a little bit also. So Bharatadehe Aparvuttihi. Bharata, Jad Bharata. So why Jad Bharata? Because he's like a Jada. Conscious being means there will be some movement, right? But suppose a body which is lifeless, like a lifeless body, So this Jad Bharata is like a lifeless. And so it is called Jad Bharata. Actually, Bharata, Jad Bharata, because yes, he almost lived his, he lived after Jnanam like a Jada, like a lifeless body, like a lifeless person. And Bhagavatam describes so much about this Jada Bharata, glorifies as a great Jnani. And this kind of description basically confuses the person. People take it literally. So the abnormal way of behavior, dirtiest way of living, well, he's a jnani. One who basically eats normal, etc., dress normally, lives normally, is not jnani. So this is what it amounts to. So, so Puranokta, so in Shloka says, Apravuttihi, Bharatadehe, Jad Bharatadehe, Apravuttihi, inactivity, Puranokta, Puranena Ukta, Bhagavatena Ukta, so like it has been described in the Bhagavatam. So, if you say, oh student, Vidyaranya says, if you give me example for such a Jnani who is Udasina, inactive, from the Purana, from the Bhagavatam, like Jad Bharata, etc., iti chet, if you say like this, well, we have to say something to you. Why can't you read other portion of, because you are saying Shariram Kevalam Karma Kurvan. Bhagavad Gita also tells about it. But we are telling you even more than Purana, Smriti is a more powerful Pramana. Purana comes much later. Directly, Smriti is all Shruti Mulaka. And Smriti means Bhagavad Gita is there. You just read few description of a Jnani given by Bhagavan. We are telling to student. It has been told Pashyan, Shunvan, Sprushan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan, Pralapan, Visrujan, Unmishan, Nimishan. So Pashyan, he visits Canada, Niagara Falls, he sees. He goes and there he sees also. Shunvan, he may be attending some musical concert. And Pashyan, Shunvan, Sprushan, he may be touching varieties of the things. Jigran must be smelling varieties of the things also. Sprushan, Jigran, Ashnan, he may be eating varieties of the things. Gachan, going from one country to other country and what not. He has no boundary. He has no boundary. Swapan, he sleeps. Shwasan, he is breathing. Swapan, Shwasan, Pralapan. He may talk also a lot. Some talk. Visrujan, etc. So, Unmishan, Nimishan, ever so many. Certain activities are voluntary, certain activities are involuntary. All going on. Constantly. Not at all inactive. Totally active. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samajana. Description of Jnani performing yajna. While the yajna is going on, he has this kind of a vision. Everything is Brahman, etc. So, even while doing Nitya Naimittik Karma, body goes through all these kind of an actions, but in his mind he has a vision that I am Brahman, etc. Therefore, you say that Jnani becomes inactive, etc. from Bhagavatam, but Bhagavad Gita describes Jnani who is very active also. And if you go to Upanishad, Moola Pramanam, Bhagavatam is a Purana, but I am giving you that Jnani is active from the Shruti and Smriti. Pramana is there. Shruti also says, Etat Samagaya Naste. Kamani, Kamarupi, Anusancharan, Aste, etc., etc. He travels. He moves around singing the glory of Atma. Etat Samagaya Naste, etc. And taking food also, he moves about in this world and does not sit in one place. And in Chandogya, of course, Chandogya, very beautiful. 8th chapter, and I think the 12th section, there is a mantra. It says, Jakshat Kridan Ramamanaha. That's what Vidyaranya also is quoting. Jakshat Kridan Ramamanaha. Jakshat means basically Bhojanam Kurvan. He is eating, Kridan, enjoying worldly things. And Ratim Vindan. Here it is said Ratim Vindan, there it is Ramamanaha, same thing. Means enjoying the association with other peoples also. So, he's surrounded by various people and he's enjoying their company also. Ramamanaha. So all these things are there. So that shows he is very active. He is not like a Jad Bharata. Of course, he is not a slave of a company of other people. That is for sure. But so why do you insist, we are saying, to that student or Purapakshi? Why do you insist that he should be like this or that? Within a certain ashram dharmas, he enjoys. And therefore, he is very active. So, iti shrutim, such a shruti vakya, I mean Chandogya, 8.12.3 or 8.12.5 or something like that, I think. So, 8.12.3, yeah, 8.12.3. This is Prajapati Vidya. 8th chapter, first 6 sections are Dahara Vidya. And later 6 sections in the 8th chapter is called Prajapati Vidya. There Prajapati gave a knowledge to Indra, etc. And there Prajapati describes a Jnani also, like this. Jakshat Kridan Ramamana, etc. He's eating and he's moving around and he's in association of other people and he enjoys their company and everything. So like that, it has been told. So iti shrutim, such a shruti vakya. Well, you quoted Purana, but I am quoting Shruti Pramana. Well, na ashraushim kim shrutim. Did you not hear such a mantra of a Chandogya? You have not heard? Because you have gone far away to Purana and brought a Jadbharata example. But Smriti, the Bhagavad Gita talks about a description of a Jnani who is very active. Shruti talks about a Jnani who is quite active. Taittiriya talks about it. Etat samagaya naste, etc., etc. He is moving around with the singing the glory of Atma, etc. So various places Jnani's description is there who is highly active. What about that? Have you not heard such a Shruti statement? Na ashraushim kim shrutim. Ashraushim, Shru Dhatu is there. Shru Dhatu means to hear. So here ashraushim. You must have heard this ashucha, right? Mamekam sharanam vraja, etc. So, sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Ahantva sarva papebhya mokshishyami ma shuchah. So, that ashuchah actually is there, is elided. So, there actually, this is like that ashraushim. It's a particular type of a lakara, I mean tense in a Sanskritam. So, here ashraushim. So, did you not hear, have you not heard of such a Shruti Vakya, like Chandogya and Taittiriya, have you not heard? So, and if you say like that, Jadbharata only is an active, he's a Jnani being inactive, then Vyasacharya ji, Shankaracharya ji, Vidyaranya ji, all are considered to be Ajnanis. Vidyaranya has written so many books, very active. He was a Shankaracharya handling the Matha, and then Shankaracharya ji, my God, in 30 years of his life, 32 years, how much work? And Vyasacharya ji, all Ashtadasha Purana and Upapuranas and Brahmasutras and all this, they all are definitely. Jadbharata only is a Jnani. Correct. Vyasacharya ji, Shankaracharya ji, Vidyaranya ji, they are active. Jnani should be Udasina, should be inactive. And example is Jadbharata. And therefore Vyasacharya, Shankaracharya, Vidyaranya, etc., they are active. Therefore, they are ignorant. Okay? Fine. Let's go to 273. Nahyahara santyajya bharatadya sthita kvachite kashtapashanavat kintu sangabhita hudasate. So he understood. He understood because he has no daring. Nobody has a daring to say Vyasacharya ji or Shankaracharya ji or Vidyaranya to tell Ajnani, right? Therefore, if Ajnani writes a grantha, we should not read because we want Jnanam. And the author is Ajnani. Hey, how it is? So it's a great thing, right? Ajnani writes about Jnanam. So, and therefore, so he was very ashamed. So he said, okay, no, they are all Jnani. But then how to account for Jadbharata now? Okay, Jadbharata was inactive. How will you explain it? He asked to Vidyaranya. What will you say about this Jadbharata? Bhagavat Jnani. The Jnani which is described in Bhagavatam. We said absolutely there are no rules for a Jnani. Whatever lifestyle led by Jnani actually, purely his choice. and also by his prarabdha. Choice means his prakriti. His prakriti is there. Of course, that is a prarabdha. Definitely, the sabhava comes of a person due to prarabdha only. So ultimately, basically, due to his vasanas or the prakriti or sabhava and then rest of the prarabdha, that determines whether he will be active, how much active, inactive, everything. Nistraya gunye pathivicharatam ko vidhi ko nishedah. So if prarabdha takes him to active life, or a passive life, he doesn't mind. He doesn't have any resistance for that. So Jnani basically wants to make sure that there is no slip from a Jnanishta. And so that basic alertness is important and required. So mind has that potentially, to form a Sangha, etc. So he has to choose. Suppose, we'll be discussing it, but I will give you just briefly. Suppose if he feels that due to my old samskaras, the Sangha may arise, attachment may arise to a particular thing, he may remain inactive. He may choose to remain inactive. So that suppose he becomes active and Sangha may arise. So therefore, it depends upon a person who gains jnanam. It depends upon that person to choose whether he wants to be active or wants to be passive. So he says, Bharatadyaha aharadina santajyaha. First, santyajyaha. So Bharata did not give up Bharatadi. And so Bharatadyaha. So any other like Bharata, Jad Bharata. Bharata did not give up a activity of a bhiksha. He was alive. That is a proof that he was taking some food, and therefore he must be taking bhiksha. So that activity was there, and until prarabdha is exhausted, it is a law of a Bhagavan that basically that body should continue in the world. It's a jnani's responsibility basically. That much responsibility is there. So basically to maintain the body as a trustee. Then when Bhagavan wants to take away that property, let him take away. Till then, I have to maintain this body. So he takes Shariram Kevalam Karma. Bhagavan also very clearly told, Shariram Kevalam Karma. He does not do any other thing, but Shariram Karma. Sharira Sambandhini Shariram. Pertaining to the body, means pertaining to the, sustaining the body. Bhiksha, etc. That will be there. And so basically he does not commit a suicide kind of a thing. So Bhagavan is owner. He says, Bhagavan is owner of this body, and as the prarabdha will be over, this will fall. Till then he maintains it by bhiksha, etc. And therefore Bharata also took a bhiksha, etc. And other activity, maybe to maintain body also, to maintain the body, other thing is there that some treatment, maybe because disease also may occur. Body means definitely Adi, Vyadhi, etc. will be there. Upadhi, Adi, Vyadhi. So Vyadhi also may occur. So then, he is a trustee, so he has to maintain body. He may have to take some medicine here and there, whatever, in those days. So this Adi Padarth, we have to take this for maintenance of the body, taking medicine, etc. Also we should understand. So Bhiksha, Aushadam, etc. Na Santyajyaha. Even Bharata did not give up that. And because he was alive, that shows. So this thing was there in him also. Yeah, Bharata might not have formed some institution, etc., might not have travelled all over India, or might not have argued with other philosophers of a different systems, etc. That is possible. But but for this Bhiksha and Aushadam, etc., they have not even given, Bharata did not give up this activity. So Sthitaha, he remained totally. Other than that, all activity has given up. So remained. Sthitaha means remained idle. And Vidyaranyana says here, Kashta Pashanavat. Unlike Kashta Pashana. Yeah, this much activity is there. Kashta Pashana means like a log of wood or a stone. Even they do not do this bhiksha, etc. So Kashta Pashana are udasina, like that. They remained totally idle. But Bharata, etc. are unlike them. At least Bhiksha and Aushadam, etc. That much activity they have done. So the Bharata, Didi, etc. Vyavara. But then my question is to you is why you are saying this? I am asking you why Bharata was inactive, other than this Bhiksha and etc. Why he was inactive? Please explain me. So Vidyaranya says, well, there is a reason for his withdrawal. He must have felt that there is a possibility of a sangha. Some people may be confident, some people are afraid that we get trapped, and therefore let me remain detached. So they avoid Vyavara, etc. And we hear stories like, that may develop a sangha to a deer. In fact, in previous life, this he also had that. So deer becomes deer, right? For it is a possibility, and therefore he had then he had to reborn as a deer if sangha arises, etc. And therefore it is his choice. It is his own choice that Veda does not command to remain inactive, to become passive, indifferent, etc. Veda does not command. Sangha bhitaha udasate. Sangha bhitaha. So, well, udasate means they remain passive. Well, out of. Bhitaha means feared. Feared of what? Sangha, attachment. So, they remain passive out of fear of a sangha. And therefore, we find them inactive. Other than bhiksha and etc., we find them totally inactive. So, no rule actually for a jnani. Ko vidhi ko nishedha. So, he has no commandment, do's and don'ts. Shastra itself takes away the total hold from him. So, any laws will be there when you have a freedom to violate. If you don't have a freedom, there is a question of putting a law on you, bringing you under a rule. If you don't break a rule, believe that I don't break, my choice is always in keeping with dharma, suppose, then Dharma Shastra is redundant. It's redundant. But why you are talking like this, Swami? Because he has this Jnani. Don't you think that Jnani, before he became a Jnani, how does he got a Chitta Shuddhi? How does he got a Chitta Shuddhi? Other than following dharma, you won't get a Chitta Shuddhi. The only remedy to get rid of this likes and dislikes is dharma. There is no other remedy at all. Following dharma, that's all. And so when you follow dharma, etc., automatically likes, dislikes go away. And then it becomes your second nature. So Jnani automatically keeps on following this thing, rules, because it's spontaneously, and therefore they don't have any vidhi nisheda. And otherwise also, who is the one to follow vidhi nisheda? That's ahankara actually. So he is free from that. And therefore, as such, there is no rule from the Shastra that you should be inactive or you should be active or nothing. So your job is, the knowledge you have received is well protected. It should be protected. And so, so he may choose that, the Sangha, etc. may arise. It is Sangha arise. Swamiji, Sangha arise means Ajnanam comes back. I know that. I am going to answer that. So, because people are ready. Let 10:45, let it be over. Then I am going to say. It's a little deviation. Why deviation? Because it's habit. Before Jnanam, from the beginning time, you have formed an habit for the attachment of the various objects. Now you have nullified. So that habit, just because of habit, it may little deviate. Even that much he doesn't want. And therefore he avoids Vyavara. And therefore don't think that after gaining Jnanam, Sangha attachment comes and therefore Ajnanam comes back. No. I'm going to talk about it in next verse. But I'm not also keeping that much patience too. I thought from your face that you may ask a question immediately. So I gave you answer. Anyway, so your job is basically the knowledge you have received is well protected, and Prarabdha has a role to play, etc. It's not in one's choice fully. So due to Prarabdha, some jnanis are active, some remains inactive, etc. That is all. There is no rule for that. Verse 274. Sangihi badhyate loke nissangas sukhamashnute tena sangah parityajyah sarvada sukhamichyata. Sangihi badhyate looks better reading, and so badhyate, I have a badhyate, but badhyate instead badhyate is better, it looks like. So you can check in some uh, other publishers, Panchadashi, etc., and let me know. But it looks Badhyate is better. So what it says here, so when Jnani is alert in transaction, well, not because of Vidhi Nisheda, etc., to maintain Jnana Nishtha, he is alert. So Jnana Nishtha, of course, is threatened by Sangha, attachment. So not totally and completely, that won't. Like in Ajnanam, the case, well, there is attachment and attachment. There is nothing else. This is not like that. The Jnanam is there and therefore, but so there is Sangha will not arise completely or totally. Temporarily it affects. Temporarily some reaction may come out of from his mind. That's attachment also is a same thing. So Vidyaranya says, Loke Sangi Badhyate. Well, in the world, Loke, in the world, well, Sangi, one who forms Sangha to basically person or a object, well, so the status of his reality will slowly change. Sangha arises means what? The status of that object or status of that person has changed. What is that? Mithya is seen as a mithya, well, then there will not be any Sangha. Effortlessly, no Sangha will be there. If you know anything mithya, well, you will not have any Sangha, if you know. And so this person knows. And so when Sangha comes, means Mithyatvam definitely becomes a little dull. And it appears as the thing or person appears as a Satyam. So movies hero. His acting was so real in the movie that, I shed tears after, watching the movie. And so now why should I shed tears for movie hero? Movie hero means a pratibhasik satyam. Hero basically is a vyavaharika satyam. But movie hero is a pratibhasik satyam. Understand? It is in here. He actually in his life there is no tragedy. Suppose, and here in the movie he is facing some tragedy, and you have a sangha attachment for that hero naturally, and therefore for a hero for which you have a Sangha actually which is Mithya, which is in the film right now facing tragedy, for such a Pratibhasika Satyam, the movie hero, you are shedding tears. Right? Is it happening? Then what about Vyavara? So basically, what about this Vyavarika Satyam? What to talk about Vyavarika Satyam? Let me say that way. And therefore, Sangha makes Mithya thing Satyam. You feel that the hero has literally some tragedy in his life and therefore you are crying. Actually, it's a film, it's a plot. And therefore, Sangha makes a Mithya as a Satyam. And once that becomes Satyam, well, and then Atma becomes Pratibhasik Satyam actually. So Vedanta is forgotten temporarily. So it is not lost, but it is temporarily clouded. And therefore, like Dhumena Vriyate Vannihi, Yathadarsho Malena cha, etc., etc. So, some jnanis want to remain alert. And for that, well, they know that this Sangha can arise temporarily also. He can nullify immediately, but even if temporarily or also it arises, well, he doesn't want it. So, that's how it says here, Loke Sangi Badhyate. He knows this, that Sangi, one who has a Sangha for a person or an object or anything, he is Badhyate, he is bound. Whereas Nissanga, well, is Nissanga means one who has no attachment, etc. Well, for such a person, well, is for such a person, Nissanga, there is no Sangha, then Mithyatvam is very, very clear. So, Mithyatvam assimilation is directly proportional to this Nissangatvam. So, Mithyatvam understanding definitely requires a buddhi in which there is a understanding regarding this Satyavastu and Mithyavastu. And so, such a person is not bound. Sukham Ashnute. One who knows Mithyatvam and who has no Sangha, well, Sukham Ashnute, he effortlessly abides in knowledge. And so, Tena. So, people like Jadabharata, etc. Well, Sangha Parityaja. He has a policy. So let us at least reduce Sangha, well, and in order to maintain this Jnana Nishtha. So he remained inactive. He did not involve in much in Vyavara other than Bhiksha and Aushadam, etc. And then Vidyaranya says, Sarvada Sukham Ichchata Purushena. So by a Jnani or even by a Vedantic student who wants to enjoy this Nishtha, attachment should be handled. As part of Sadhan Chatushtaya Satpati, he has already handled attachment. But not a new sadhana for a Jnani, please understand. The person who wants knowledge, for him it's a sadhana to gain this nisangatvam by vairagya, etc., vivek vairagya, etc. That is a nisangatvam is vairagya. So for him it is a sadhana, but for jnani it is not. But due to that old habit, even that may arise in vyavara little bit, then he doesn't want that also, and therefore he avoids vyavara. So jnani wants to maintain the vairagya; he does not want to be complacent, and therefore, so sarvada sukhamichita purushena, by the person basically who is desiring moksha, parityajya, sangha has to be given up. And but what about Chandogya Jnani? Because there it is said, Jakshat Kridan Ramamana. He is eating all types of food, and Kridan he's sporting around, and Ramamana he is associated by a lot of people around, and he enjoying their company and all that. What about this Jnani now? Okay, Jadbharata understood, because he wants to keep away himself for for Sangha, and therefore he remain inactive, etc. But what about this now? Chandogya Jnani? Well, we'll talk about it. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.